I wasn't immediately drawn to the lobby's aroma of freshly brewed coffee or the sounds of colleagues arriving for one more Monday morning. 3 black trash bags were seen drooping against the marble wall, protruding with what I knew right away was mine. The dirt dripping from my potted plant slanted ceramic pot, a partially broken picture frame of my mom and me, a mess of charging cords, even the world's containing bright yellow coffee mug I brought from home. The word employee sat unevenly, on top of it like a terrible joke. I just stood there for a second. The air seemed excessively heavy, as if someone had pulled everything the room's oxygen. Still rolling behind me from the client trip last week, my carry-on luggage pressed up against my ankle as I halted my stride. His voice then pierced the lobby. "Lisa, ideal timing. We're cutting back. Leave." Greg, my manager, was the one. His voice wasn't angry or abrasive. It was informal, almost practiced, as though he had been anticipating this all weekend. Line. His gold watch gleamed as he stood there in his ironed navy suit, checking the time as if he had already missed a more significant event. "You're 25, he smirked as he added, as though it clarified everything. "You'll bounce back." The reply was words struck me more forcefully than the packages at my feet. A half-circle of co-workers had gathered behind him, feigning to be occupied. Some tapped on their phones, avoiding my gaze. Others observed candidly, such ace-onlookers during a street fight. Marcus from accounting was visible to me, his mouth moving as if he were battling a smile. I wanted to yell in order to protect myself, and to remind everyone of what I'd completed last week, making a deal, negotiating with a challenging customer, and flying across the nation with 2 days' notice, returning from the edge. This corporation valued the contract I had closed at millions of dollars. My reward now was to see my like last. Week's rubbish. Life is packed into garbage bags. However, I chose to stand there and listen to the sound rather than saying any of it. The thump of my own heartbeat in my ears. "If you need assistance with those, security will lead you out," Greg stated, "already." "Your access cards have been deactivated," he said, taking another look at his phone. "The separation documents will be delivered by mail. Avoid making things more difficult than they need to be." I knelt down, my hands shaking as it grasped the smooth plastic of the packs. The weight felt embarrassing and unnatural. Not even Naomi, with whom I used to have lunch every Friday, offered to help. Instead, she just stared at. As I straightened with the bags in my arms, I felt as though the floor tiles may burst open and engulf her. Noticed Greg's expression, a small raise in the corner of his mouth, a glimmer of satisfaction. I realized then that this was personal and not about downsizing, and I walked across the foyer with my carry-on wheels creaking on the floor, my shoulders burning from the strain. A few individuals slowed down to observe me, and whispers followed me like smoke. Depart, their curious eyes shining as if I were the morning's amusement. When my planner dropped spread open on the floor from one of the bags, pages of colored notes, client calendars, and scheduled meetings, I didn't even pause to pick it up, leaving it there for the next 3 months. A splash of order in the midst of chaos. With my arms hurting, I pushed the luggage into my trunk outside in the parking lot before sinking. I was in the driver's seat, holding on to the steering wheel till my knuckles became white, when something odd things happened. I didn't shout, I didn't cry, and I didn't leave the garage. Instead, I grinned, not the fragile type of smile, in a fire of anger and rubber. You push in front of others, but a serene, self-aware smile that sprang from deep within me. You believe you've won, but you don't realize what you've just began. I held up my hand and gave a single wave through the glass doors and windshield. I pushed the car in reverse and drove out of the lobby, where I could still see their faces plastered against the windows, staring, and quietly drove off. I sat in my mother's kitchen that evening, table with steam rising from a broken mug of chamomile tea. I described every embarrassing aspect. "Something doesn't add up," she finally said, as she listened with her lips pressed thin. You closed a major deal. Why fire you right after? She continued steadily. Long after she had gone to bed, I couldn't stop wondering, why now? Why? Suddenly. Why not have a conversation instead of using garbage bags? I still didn't know the answer. However, my phone buzzed on the table a week later. The screen keeps flashing up. One message at first, then 10, then 30. There were more over 100 by midday. Where are you, Lisa? We must speak. Right now. It's urgent. Give me a call back. You're where? Desperate. The same manager who had smirked while I was carrying trash bags out of the building was now exploding my phone. My lips curled into the same silent smile I'd given him when I gazed at the TV from behind the wheel a week prior. He was unaware of what he had let loose. It was late at night when I first opened Greg's texts. My phone's glow, the lone source of light in my mom's tiny kitchen. I had disregarded him throughout the day, allowing the notifications to accumulate, until the buzzing had turned white. Sound. I now painstakingly scrolled through each one of them. Lisa, please select up. It's critical. You're where? We require your files. Do you still possess the Henderson notes? Give me a call back. It's a catastrophe. His statements were almost comical in their fear. The same man who had been tapping his watch while standing in the marble lobby was now pleading for my assistance while grinning at my embarrassment. My mom, seated, saw my expression while holding her sewing kit across from me in her lap. She inquired, "What is it?" I flipped the phone in her direction. She read some of the desperate texts, repositioned her glasses, and exhaled sharply. So he remembers now. Your value? She whispered. Typical. I reclined in my seat, recalling still raw from that morning. His arrogant look, the trash bags, and the murmurs. But here he stood, desperate, a week later. Something was falling apart, and I had to know what. I opened my laptop for the first time since I was fired the following morning. ATI started by considering job seeking and revising my resume. However, my fingers lingered over the keyboard instead before typing something very different. Client, contact list. I started writing down all I had learned over the previous 3 years from memory. Direct phone numbers, names, preferences, internal jokes, problems, and knowledge I had stored in my mind, information that Greg was unable to remove, from the company's systems or place in trash bags. When I finally stopped, I had 4 whole pages. Then it hit me.